Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing all about classroom pets. I'm answering your most frequently asked questions, and I'm going to give you all the information you need to know to get a classroom pet into your very own classroom. This week I'm going to be sharing all about classroom pets, and if you follow me on Instagram, you know that I have quite the classroom zoo. And it started out as something very small, and it really was my love for pets. And I lucked out when I got my job teaching 7th grade life science, because it's basically introduction to biology, and we teach everything about the animal kingdom, plant and animal cells, the life cycle, and so much more. And it was the perfect opportunity to bring pets into my classroom. And my very first year teaching, I started out with the fish tanks. So probably like 2 months into school, I've always had fish growing up, and I went out and I bought a brand new fish tank and some goldfish, and I had no idea how excited my students would get about this fish tank. And every single day, students would come in, and the first thing they did was run over to the fish tank and they would check on them, and it just blew my mind how invested in these fish they were. So seeing the success of the fish, which was a great starting place for me because I was comfortable with it, I looked on Craigslist, and I happened to find someone locally who was rehoming a red slider turtle, and they were selling all of the things for $50, and it was an amazing tank, and the child just wasn't taking care of this. So I said, this would be amazing. I can give this pet a home and bring it into my classroom. And so we named him Raphael because I love the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I could not believe how much it made an impact on student behavior. It really helped with those students who struggled socially, emotionally, and it just really became something that I swear by now. And since then I've added a Holland Lop Rabbit to my classroom, and then a guinea pig, and recently my Holland Lop Rabbit Sue had 3 babies, and I kept one of those babies, so we are up to quite the zoo. We also have chickens out in our garden, in our chicken coop that we hatch in class, and I'm going to be live streaming that soon. But I want to talk about some of those most frequently asked questions that I get from people on Instagram, and for people that are probably wanting to get started with a classroom pet and just want to make sure that they're thinking about all of the right things. So I'm going to answer all of the things that people are commonly asking me so that y'all have all the information you need to make a good decision about whether a class pet is right for you or not. All right, before you get started with your classroom pet, there's a few things that you need to really consider and make sure that you're getting into this thoughtfully. The first thing is it's a lifetime commitment. So you need to research the pet that you're interested in and how long it lives, because you want to make sure that you're able to take care of it, whether it's in your classroom or at home, for that entire life, and make sure you're committed to that. The second thing I would recommend is seek approval from your administration and check and see what your district policy is regarding pets, because there are a lot of districts where they're banned, or there might be certain rules about which types of pets that you can have in your classroom. Another one you might want to consider, if you're already in the school year and you know your students, possibly send home a letter and ask for parents to share with you student allergies, so you can kind of see where you're at and if there's any issues that would prevent you from bringing that pet into the classroom. And then the last thing I would recommend is check with your local animal shelters and see what pets are out there where they're looking for amazing homes, and it might be a 3-year-old rabbit that was rehomed and you could bring it into your classroom, and that is such an excellent way to get that pet into a classroom, getting love, and out of that shelter and give it that lifelong home. So check with your local shelters and see what pets are in need of homes. The number one question I get is, what about student allergies? Like I said before, if you're thinking about a classroom pet, check about allergies. But each school year I send home a letter to parents, and it's a class pet contract. And it talks about what my students need to do when interacting with pets and how they get those privileges. And then it also asks parents to disclose and share any student allergies that they're aware of. Now, one thing I would tell you, and this is something I tell all people that message me, is I had a student who was allergic to hay. And we thought she was allergic to the rabbits. And after her allergy testing, an allergy doctor told her she wasn't. We realized that it was the hay we were feeding our rabbits in our classroom. So we do not have any hay whatsoever in our classrooms because of that. And I think it's a really good thing to consider. You could always take your pets home over the weekend or at night and let them get their hay at home. But in our classroom, we make sure that we never have hay. So parents are supposed to share with us those allergies, but say that a student didn't know they were allergic to a rabbit. What we usually do is we create an allergy-free table. So no one's able to hold the pets at that table, and any students with allergies sit there. So it's the furthest away from the pets. When they come into and out of my classroom, they're never passing the cages. And what we found is most student allergies that we've experienced are very mild. Like they might be a tiny skin irritation if they're holding the rabbit, but we haven't had a lot of students who've had severe allergies and anything that isn't solved by the allergy-free table. And of course, when there is a student allergy, we make sure to send them to the nurse, we contact the parent, and then we make sure that we're doing everything to keep that student safe and healthy. So that is a really big, important thing for student allergies. And another thing that you could do is if you have student allergies and you know that, you could always try a reptile or fish, and they might be a little bit easier and less likely to create those student allergies. And that could just be a safe way, especially if you're an elementary school teacher where allergies can be more severe. And that's something I always recommend to people. A lot of people ask how I pay for pet supplies and how I brought them into my classroom. And there's a couple of ways that we fund our classroom pets and the supplies. The first way is we do fundraisers in the 7th grade, and some of those fundraisers help us pay for the supplies that we have for our pets. The second thing we do is student donations. Our students absolutely love to feed our classroom pets, and parents often will send in vegetables, they will send in treats, all sorts of things, and we let our students who bring those in feed those treats to the pets. So that's a great way. You can send home a letter to your parents and let them know what things your pets are allowed to eat and encourage them to send in those donations. Another great way to bring a pet into your classroom and help with that upfront cost of the cage and the animal is petsintheclassroom.org. And petsintheclassroom.org is an incredible grant, and it is very easy to fill out. They have 2 types of grants, and the first one is a grant that will allow you to apply, and you can pick from a list of pets. They partner with pet stores, and you can go to that pet store once you receive the grant, and you will have a list of supplies that you're getting at a discount, and it's helping you pay for the vast majority of it, including the pet. And then they also have sustaining grants, and sustaining grants are ones that are going to help you each year pay for those supplies like food, treats, and things that your pet's going to need to stay happy and healthy. So those are great ways to help make sure that it's not coming out of your bank account and to make it affordable for you as the teacher. Another question I get often is, what do you do with the pets over the weekend and breaks? Now, I do not take my pets home over the weekend, and some people would say that's bad, but my pets get tons of attention. They're out of their cage before students get to school, during lunch. They are held all day long, and we have very large homes for our pets, and then they also have really big water bottles and food bowls. So we make sure to give them plenty of food and water before we leave for the weekend. And of course, I do come by the school, my co-teacher comes by the school, and we check on them. And some other things that we do is we have emailed the district, and they have an AC override. So our air conditioning is running at night and on the weekends so that they are all taken care of. Now, over long breaks, I do take the pets home, and I like to take them to my house, and I have cages that I've bought for them at my house, and so I just transport them, and I have a little carrying cage for Willow and for Sue, and I guess Blue now, who hasn't come home yet, but they go with me from school and I have a cage at home, and that just makes it easier so that I don't have to pack it all up and it's less hassle. Now, you could easily find a cage that fits in your back seat and you could take them to and from, and if that works for you, then that is great. Next door to me, Miss D, the other science teacher, has the same classroom pets, all of the boys, and her husband has an allergy to rabbits. So she allows her students to apply using a contract that she's typed up, and they can apply to take that pet home over long breaks, and so she never takes the pets home, ever. So you can structure it however you want, and just keep in mind that there are so many different ways you can do it, and as long as you're making sure that your pets are very well taken care of and you're checking on them and doing all of those things, you will be fine. And my pets actually, I feel like, enjoy being here over the weekend because they get a little bit of a break. And the other thing is their homes are a lot bigger at school than they are at my house. So they're very spoiled. And when I take them home in the smaller cages, they're not as excited. So that's one thing to know also. They're used to this environment and they enjoy it. And so that's why I leave them here over the small breaks. A lot of people ask, how do you clean up after your classroom pets? And do students do that, or do you do all the work? I always have students do the work, even when I want to clean it. Like when I come in the morning, I want to clean the cages because that's just how I am. And I really try not to ever do that unless it's over a long break and they're not here, because I want to teach them the habits of how to be responsible for them, and I want them to know how to take care of the pets, which means that not just holding them and the fun stuff, but also cleaning up after them. And now what's blows my mind every time is students fight over who gets to clean the cages, including the litter boxes and all the gross stuff, right? And so my homeroom students are the ones who clean the cages each morning. And the way I structure it is Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we clean the litter and we wipe down all of the things and make sure to take those trash bags to an outside trash can with all of the smell. And then they make sure that the water is full, the food bowls are full. And then on any other day of the week when we're not changing the litter, we just spot clean. So I have little dustpans that they can clean up anything in the cage. We have paper towels over there for them to wipe it down. And that's something that we're doing every day. And my dismissal students, which is 7th period, also will feed treats to the rabbits and guinea pigs, and then they will spot clean and fill up any food or water that needs to be taken care of as well. So that's a really great way to make sure that your students are doing a lot of that work and the burden is not on you. So the only time I'm really cleaning up after the pets is over those long breaks and summer. The next question I get a lot is, how do you structure students holding them, and is it a gigantic distraction? And you are in charge of modeling and creating those expectations and letting your students know exactly what's acceptable with your classroom pets. So just like anything else in your classroom, you've got to make sure that your students have very clear expectations and rules in place for your classroom pets. So I start the school year out with no classroom pets. So the first 2 to 3 weeks of school, I'm checking with parents on student allergies, we're getting rituals and routines in place, and I'm introducing the classroom pets and going over how we're going to interact responsibly and all of the expectations of classroom pets. So that for me seems to work very well. The cages are in the room, but no pets are in the room when we start school. Now, the way it works when class starts is I have a traffic light, which is part of my classroomscreen.com. It's an amazing website to put on your smartboard, and the traffic light signifies whether or not they can get the classroom pets out that class. Because there are certain class periods where I say, no, we cannot get them out today. You're going to be too busy. We're doing a lab and you won't be able to hold them while you do this. So that would be a red light. Now, green light means once we start class and we are working on an assignment, they can get the classroom pets out as long as they have an A or B in my class. And so every Monday we give out progress reports and grade sheets. And part of my privileges in class is music, so they can listen to music on their Chromebook when they work if they have an A or a B, and they can hold classroom pets if they have an A or a B. So if the green light is on, once we've started an assignment, students know they can go and get the classroom pets out, and as long as it doesn't become a big distraction and they're able to multitask, we're good to go. But the second that they start fighting over the classroom pets, or they're not working, or any of those things that are a distraction, we put them up for that class period. So the green light and the red light has really been helpful because it lets students know what days that I'm not allowing class pets to come out, which is not very often. And then they know that we don't get classroom pets out until we've started an assignment. So when I'm going over instructions, the warm-up, that is a no classroom pet time because I want them focused on what we need to do. So that's really key for me. And then of course, students only get 3 to 5 minutes per turn each day, and we rotate so that way all students are getting a chance to hold the classroom pets and they're not just with one student that whole class period. The last question I want to talk about is people ask, do they really make a difference in your class? And classroom pets have really transformed my classroom. And I think that what it is students come into class and it creates something exciting. They are excited to be in my class and they connect with the classroom pets on such a deep level. Students that really struggle at home, that have those challenging behaviors, sometimes students who are struggling socially, it just teaches them so much and they connect with the classroom pets. And I've just seen such a difference in so many students who sometimes are exhibiting challenging behaviors at school, connect with my classroom pets, and they just transform. They turn into a totally different student, and it really supports and develops social emotional learning. Students are showing love for the pets, they're exhibiting responsibility, and they're just excited to come to class, and it's something for them to look forward to. And in middle school especially, students go through a lot, emotionally, psychologically, and there's so many changes happening, and I think it's really important to have something positive for them to focus on and to get excited about, and to help those students who are struggling with all those things that are going on in their lives. And it just gives them something positive in their day where they can really look forward to it. And we've seen students who are disengaged, who are not motivated, be motivated because of the classroom pets. And we've even used them sometimes as a reward. If a student's struggling to get their work done, but they are obsessed with the turtle or the rabbit or the guinea pig, then we'll say at the end of class, if you have finished this much of your work and we set a goal, you can have 5 minutes with the classroom pet. And it has worked wonders. And you just gotta find ways as a teacher to motivate students and to get them excited. And sometimes we can even use it as a behavior goal. We've had students in the past who skip class every day. And we say, if you go all day without skipping one class, in the morning, you can come and see the rabbit and you will get one-on-one time with them. And it really, really works. But I think most importantly, it just creates a connection with students, and it's giving them something to show love to, and it makes an incredible impact. So I can't stress to you enough how much of a difference they've made in my class, and everyone that I talk to that has a classroom pet has shared that same experience. I'm gonna be sharing in future videos all about my specific classroom pets, the cages I use, how I feed them, and things that you need to know about a rabbit, a guinea pig. But if you have any questions about classroom pets, bringing one into your classroom that I haven't answered, I would love to hear in the comments your questions that I will answer for you. And don't forget to like and subscribe to this video and my channel. And until next week, happy teaching, and I'll see you in the classroom.